as we become the front lines of resistance to fascism here at the Midas Touch Network. Knowledge is power. So what I need to alert you of are all of the potential threats that are emanating from the Trump administration, what they're going to do, not to scare us, but so we can be proactive. Where can we file legal challenges? Where can we community organize? Who do we need to get the word out to? Do we need to warn someone in a specific area? We're going to be doing these bulletins each and every day to keep you fully informed. We will then assess the level of threat for each of these specific incidents that we're covering. And we're going to do this each and every day, again, because knowledge is power. I think here's something that we need to talk about. Remember last week, as Mehdi Hassan says, last week Donald Trump was posturing as an anti-war dove with Muslim voters in Dearborn, Michigan. Today, it's revealed that one of DC's veteran Iron Hawks, Brian Hook, will be leading the transition team for Trump's State Department. So for anybody who thought that the policy that Donald Trump would have with Palestine would be something that Donald Trump may have promised, listen to what Donald Trump was actually saying. He was actually talking about bulldozing Palestine, and his son-in-law talked about turning it into basically Trump condominiums. They seem to be making good on that threat. You should share that with people in Dearborn and others that you know where that issue is certainly of import and of interest. Let's talk about the threat involving Project 2025. For all of your friends who thought that Project 2025 wasn't going to be implemented, all of the Trump surrogates are now saying the following. It is my honor to inform you all that Project 2025 was real the whole time. That's what they're writing. Matt Walsh, another one of Donald Trump's surrogates, writes, now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda. LOL. So that means taking away your Social Security, taking away your health care, taking away or terminating all of these government workers and replacing it with Trump loyalists. That means attacking our climate and overturning or repealing the CHIPS Act and the Infrastructure Act that have provided so many jobs. And again, I'm not providing you these data points to scare you or to doom us. Knowledge is power. And as I said, we're on the front lines of the resistance to fascism. So collectively, we have to call this out. We have to share this data with people that we know. Let's talk about another one of these Trump surrogates or MAGA surrogates, Nick Fuentes right here. And he goes, your body, my choice, forever. He goes, your body, my choice, forever. So let me show you a group of college voters right here who said that they voted for Donald Trump because they said Trump was going to protect women's reproductive rights. Let me play the clip, just really short, play this clip.
And I like that he didn't actually plan to ban abortion. He just brought it back to the States.
So yes, why don't you show those people right there that Donald Trump and everybody in his orbit, like we told you, were lying, and you should prepare for that. In terms of the misogyny, in terms of the way they will talk about sexual assault, we know Donald Trump's been found liable of sexual assault. Someone wrote on Twitter, or now X, I'm just a girl standing in front of the world asking for a president who isn't a rapist. Andrew Tate, who has been accused and I believe charged with sexual assault, he responds, request denied, to a woman saying, I'm just a girl standing in front of the world asking for a president who isn't a rapist. He's big in the MAGA movement. I think that's important for you to know. Let's talk about health. Donald Trump said that RFK Jr. would be in charge of all Americans' health. RFK Jr. believes that vaccines don't work and would want to ban vaccines. RFK Jr. Has a lot of other very extremist ideas. He also wants to ban fluoride in water. And so he says fluoride is out. Here's an interview with NBC. RFK, who's now appointed to be the czar in charge of your health, says he's taking fluoride out of your water. Play the clip.
He's also talked about fluoride in the U.S. water supply. You would seek to ban fluoride in the U.S. water supply?
Well, I would advise the water districts that are currently using it that there's a lot of new science out there. And in fact, there's a federal judge decision by an Obama-appointed judge on October 4th of this year in which he's to send EPA back to the drawing board and said, you've never done the safety studies on this. And by the way...
And so what does that look like? Without debating, without knowing, without going back and forth on the science?
By the way, it's lowering IQ in our children.
What would you, upon January 2025, we're 3 months away here, what would you actually do in your position inside of the White House?
I think fluoride is on its way out.
And how do you make that happen? This is your chance, is what you're suggesting to me. How would you make that happen?
Well, listen to what I'm saying, okay, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
I think fluoride is on the way out because of that court decision. I think the faster that it goes out, the better. I'm not going to compel anybody to take it out, but I'm going to advise the water districts about their legal liability, their legal obligation to their service zones and to their constituents, and I'm going to give them good information about the science, and I think that fluoride will disappear.
Now, again, I'm not showing you these clips to doom. Again, that's not the point of these. Why I show these is then the pro-democracy legal community, and I'm sure you heard what Michael Popak was saying on Legal AF as well. We start bringing challenges in the various courts to block these measures. We know we have a lot of top constitutional scholars and lawyers who watch this show. So I flag these issues so we stop these things from happening, right? In order for us to be on the front lines in stopping fascism, we have to recognize the threats. So every time it may be a little bit like whack-a-mole, but we've got a whack-a-mole right now. That's the mode that we have to be in. RFK Jr. also tells MSNBC that he will basically fire everybody who works for the FDA. Here, play this clip.
You say clearing out the corruption in your terms. Would that mean clearing out the top-level federal service workers that are currently at the FDA and the CDC?
In some categories, I would say.
What does that look like? Yeah.
In some categories of workers, there are entire departments, like the nutrition departments at FDA, that have to go. That are not doing their job. They're not protecting our kids. Why do we have Fruit Loops in this country that have 18 or 19 ingredients, and you go to Canada and it's got 2 or 3?
Would you eliminate any of the agencies?
To eliminate the agencies, as long as it requires congressional approval, I wouldn't be doing that. I can get the corruption out of the agencies. This is what I've been doing for 40 years. I've sued all those agencies. I have a PhD in corporate corruption, and that's what I do. And once they're not corrupt, once Americans are getting good science and are allowed to make their own choices, they're going to get a lot healthier.
Okay, and then in terms of mass deportations, Byron Douglas, one of Donald Trump's other top surrogates, says that mass deportations will begin on day 1. This was confirmed by Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump's spokesperson. As Axios reports, Trump will begin operations to deport millions of undocumented immigrants when he starts his term. Campaign press secretary Caroline Leavitt said Wednesday he'll launch the largest mass deportation operation of undocumented immigrants on day 1. As Lex Lazar says, and some of you thought grocery prices were high? In a year, each strawberry will cost $5, as Donald Trump intends to deport a major portion of the labor market that's just hardworking people. So if you had a family member, or if you have a friend who voted for Donald Trump, but who had any family member, cousin, brother, sibling, sister, parent, whoever, that doesn't have their papers, you should tell that individual who supported Trump to prepare for their family member to be ripped away from their house in a bloody deportation exercise. You should tell them that. Say, that's what Donald Trump said, bloody deportation. You just voted to have your relative be deported in a bloody mass deportation exercise. And you'll probably get deported as well. So good work with that. Ridiculous. But anyway, you can share that message. And here's Byron Donalds, Donald Trump's top surrogate, saying that as well.
Young men and women, recipients of DACA that know of no other country but this one. And there is, among those people and many others, a palpable sense of fear for what may the future hold for them. What is your message to those people?
My message is clear. Right now, under the administration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, there's been about 500,000 people in our country let in who are convicted of crimes, 14,000 convicted of murder. Those people are going to go home immediately. After that, then you have about another 6 to 8, maybe 10 million, maybe more that have come in through these wide open asylum procedures under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They've overwhelmed our cities. Now, if you want to talk about the people who've been here much longer than that, then we're going to have to get to that one as well. But this is going to be a humane process, because what is inhumane is leaving our borders massively open.
And by the way, don't you like that, corporate media now that they know that everybody's cutting the cord and are just sick and tired of them. Now they're all posting the truth about Donald Trump's tariffs. Refused to do that during the election, but now corporate media is like, oh, now we're going to report on it. So CNN did this article, Why Trump's Proposed Tariff Could Cost You $2,600 per year. Why Trump's proposed tariffs could cost you this amount of money. Here's another article right here. As Donald Trump readies to return to the Oval Office, retailers that depend on foreign suppliers are prepared to pass along the costs of his proposed import tariffs to consumers, potentially leading to higher prices for a range of products. Trump's win could lead companies to push prices higher, because tariffs are taxes on imports, not the country of origin, which we were saying. So whereas President Biden got inflation under control and America led the entire world in reducing inflation, no country did it as good as the United States with President Biden. Donald Trump is going to have policies that are inherently inflationary, and that's going to be passed on to you, the consumer. Now, we could file legal actions and try to stop it, but I think we have to see what it is they're doing right now. And again, I want you to use these videos to share with people to get the message out about what is actually happening and what's going to happen, so we can prepare and we could stop it or do our best to try to stop it. And whether that's challenging it in the courts, community organizing, that's what we have to do. Also, the Biden administration planned to rush the last $6 billion remaining in Ukraine security assistance before inauguration because, of course, Donald Trump intends not to help Ukraine and to basically help Vladimir Putin. It should be noted that the former president of Russia, President Medvedev, he came out with a statement mocking Vice President Kamala Harris. He wrote, Kamala is finished. Let her keep cackling infectiously. The objectives of the special military operation remain unchanged and will be achieved. As Max said in States, with Trump's victory, jubilant reactions are all over Moscow right now. Former stand-in president Dmitry Medvedev implies Russia will retain its maximalist military gains in Ukraine. And then that Trump will wind down aid to Kyiv. That's what Donald Trump said. Ilya Ponomarenko, who's been a great reporter over there, says, good night from the fight in Ukraine. Do what you should, come what may. That's the morale in Ukraine right now as a result of Donald Trump. And we should also expect that Donald Trump will potentially pull America out of NATO. And then I'll leave you with this, though. This is what Adam Cohen, a lawyer and activist, says. He goes, many who backed Vice President Kamala Harris are devastated. I implore you, though, stay engaged because millions of Americans will suffer greatly from Trump's policies. They'll need us. It was very dark in 2016. We overcame. Once again, it will be dark, but once again, we will overcome. Look, Midas Touch Network is now the front lines of the resistance to fascism. That's what history has called us all to do at this very moment. And that requires us to call it out, to not forget both sides, not propagandize Donald Trump, like corporate media, is going to do and that they are doing. And let's come up with plans. Let's get out the message to people and let's keep on building this platform. If you want to help grow this platform, one place you can go is MidasPlus.com, MeidasPlus.com, MidasPlus.com. Now, I gave you a lot of information right there. And I know, look, some of the information I gave you is grim. But as I've said before, we're in this together. We're going to stay calm together, and we're going to get through this together. And democracy is going to prevail. I promise you that. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.